For this problem, sine of the b is negative 1 over 3 and b is in the third quadrant. In the third quadrant, if we draw the right triangle angle diagram with an angle B located in the third quadrant, the x gonna be negative, the y gonna be negative. And by definition, the sine B is y divided by r. Y over r is negative 1 over 3. That tells us y is negative 1, the r is 3. To find x using the Pythagorean theorem, square root of the r squared minus the y squared, or 9 minus 1, or the square root 8, which is simplified to be 2 square root 2. And again, in the third quadrant, x gonna be negative. Now we have negative 2 square root 2 for the x, negative 1 for the y, and r is 3. Use these three numbers to answer the rest of the problems. For the cosine b, by definition, the cosine is x over r. X is negative 2 square root 2. The r is 3. Now we get the value for the cosine b. And the next part, the cosecant of b over 2, we call the cosecant is the reciprocal of the sine. So sine of b over 2. Since B is in the third quadrant, let's analyze it a little bit. So B in quadrant 3, and B gonna be between the angle 180 degrees and 270 degrees. Therefore, a half angle of the B will be between 90 degrees and 135 degrees. Therefore, B over 2 will be in the second quadrant. If B over 2 in the second quadrant, the sine of B over 2 gonna be positive. The cosine of B over 2 gonna be negative in sign. Right. And we're gonna use the half angle formula for the sine of half angle formula, which is the square root of 1 minus cosine B divided by 2. And the sine is positive, so we remain that one. For the cosine half angle, since the cosine is negative, going to be negative sine, square root of 1 plus the cosine b divided by 2. Now we're going to use information to answer the problem. The sine of b over 2 is the square root of 1 minus cosine b, which is negative 2 square root 2. Let me rewrite the formula and then replace the value for our convenience. So this is going to be 1 divided by positive sine for the sine, can be square root of, can I write as 1/2 multiplied by 1 minus cosine b to avoid dealing with the complication with the complex fraction, equals 1 divided by square root 1 over 2. 1 minus the cosine b is negative 2 square root 3 square root 2 divided by 3. And simplify to be 1 over square root 1/2 quantity 3 plus 2 square root 2 divided by 3. Simplify further, we will get 1 divided by the quantity 3 plus 2 square root 2 divided by 6. And we can rewrite it as, since this is 1 over or the reciprocal, we just rewrite it as square root of 6 divided by 3 plus 2 square root 2 as the value of the cosecant of b over 2. And for the secant of b over 2, the secant is 1 over cosine of b over 2. The cosine of b over 2 is negative side, the square root 1/2 multiplied by 1 plus cosine b, which is negative of 1 over square root of 1/2 quantity 1 plus the cosine b is negative 2 square root 2 over 3. Simplify the fraction inside there. We have negative 1 over square root of 1 over 2. Quantity can be 3 minus 2 square root 2 divided by 3. And then clean up the numbers, flip the reciprocal. We're going to have negative square root of 6 divided by 3 minus 2 square root 2 as the exact value of the secant of b over 2.